Welcome in to another episode of my Two Bits Gator Football Podcast. If that intro sounded different, it's because I am your co-host, Mr. Randy, because our main host, Ben, is on vacation and out of the country. So, Gator Nation, you are stuck with me this evening. Um, Happy to be bringing the show to you this evening, even though Ben is not with us after a win on the road in the SEC this past Saturday. So, as always, we're going to get into the intro, the mission, the vision, the agenda, and we're going to go through our agenda per normal. Now, in past shows, as you know, Ben and I do not compare our notes beforehand, but in this case, Ben did have to send me his notes for his sections. But of course, I went ahead and wrote up mine ahead of time. So it's going to be as pure as we can make it. So to that end, let's go over our mission, vision, agenda. Of course, our mission to provide factual analysis of all things Gator football, to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis will be based on the review of the film, the evaluation of strategy and tactics, and observation of player personnel decisions and on-field execution. All right, so that's the deal. So let's go ahead and dive right into it with the Oh My section, and I will start that off for us. I had a couple things in the Oh My section. The first notable is going to be Rocco Underwood. You heard me. Rocco Underwood. In case people are wondering who that is, that's going to be a 6'4", 220-pound long snapper out of Lake Mary, Florida. Really happy to see Rocco get an amazing tackle on special teams. That was our first punt of the game, and Rocco stuck the landing. I'll just say that. He did some trucking of his own. And basically the ball was unable to advance. So fantastic work there out of Rocco. He's had some really good tackles in the special teams game. And this one, he just absolutely trucked the receiver. Another plug in here for special teams. DK had an amazing 35-yard punt return overall. So bravo to special teams and bravo to Joe Houston. All right, number 2 on my oh my's, Mertz to Burke on UF's second possession, their second touchdown, great route. Burke had a great double move. Mertz with the pump fake, not to mention the timing and the placement on that ball was fantastic. So really enjoyed how that developed. Great concepts there. Mertz, great job to look away. The pump fake, phenomenal. My last oh my is going to be Mertz again, this time down the seam to Hayden Hansen. You can't miss him, folks. He's a big target. But down the seam, the way that he broke free, whether it was a breakdown in coverage, either way, well-thrown ball, caught Hansen in stride, 35-yard touchdown, another great throw. So those are my 3 oh my moments from the game. Let's look to Ben's notes here, and here are Ben's oh my moments. Ben also has the pass to Burke for the touchdown. The ball placement, he said, was beautiful, as well as the timing of the throw. So 3 points. First is ball placement was beautiful, as well as the timing of the throw. Second, he loved the pump fake as Burke was running the fake hitch on the route. And third, he said the route by Burke was excellent, got the corner to completely bite on the fake, which is how he was so wide open for that pass. Agreed, and agreed. 3 points. Awesome, B. His second oh my, Mertz ball to Hansen for the touchdown. Okay, a little bit of a theme. Love the concept of the play to have him go out for that route, and also loved how Mertz held the safety with his eyes before shifting and hitting such a beautiful pass to Hayden for the 6. All right, and Ben's third oh my, Jaden Ball. As you remember, run the ball. So Ball had 2 runs in the fourth back-to-back. The first run for 30+, great speed, and just a sick cut speed to get by the safety and add significant yardage to the play. Second run, maybe even better because it was dead at the line of scrimmage. Between the stiff arm and the quick cut he made, turned nothing into a 10-yard gain for a first down. So this kind of running is going to definitely be crucial in games where we cannot move the ball. Again, run the ball. So 3 awesome takes there, B. So there is your home my segment. Some great plays there to start us off for this Mississippi State pod. All right, next let's go into the Chomp segment, and that, of course, is a review of the offense. So we're going to have B start this one off. His notes. Here we go. Mertz and Lagway, QB rating 143.6 and 6.28 yards per carry. Both outstanding. Several improvements over last week, but again, we have to consider the opponent, as Mississippi State's not as strong defensively, to say the least, averaging close to 400 yards per game allowed. Still getting over 500 against any FBS team, especially on the road, is a solid game. Agreed, B. Mertz still had a few balls behind receivers, and O-line blocking for running game was still less than good. I did like the lineup of Barber, Lovett, Harris, Slaughter, and Waits. Crenshaw Dixon, though, would like to see more of that lineup. That was a really good rotation in there for the O-line. B also adds Lagway looked good in both intermediate and short passing game, which is important for some development. Agreed. We already know his deep arm is there, so it was good to see other throws look better as well. In addition, he led 2 touchdown drives from our own 5-yard line. Great poise. Agreed. Also, shout out to Mizell for a solid gain, even if his stat line didn't reflect it because of a couple bad breaks. We'll talk about that later. Overall, still not blown away by the offense, but some better routes in space and downfield and a better performance overall, certainly. B, thanks for that review for the Chomp. I agree. There's a lot of great points in there. Here are some of my takes on the Chomp segment. I got a little variance in play calling. Let's be honest. I'm hoping to get some Neapolitan ice cream. You all know my analogy on that. Still vanilla, but let's just say a better quality vanilla. Okay. I feel like we did what was expected. Basically, we knew that Mississippi State had some holes, had some flaws. There's a talent discrepancy there. We came and we did what we needed to do. So that's fine. Shout out to Badger, and great wide receiver, but this catch that he made, his first catch in this game, counted for 30 consecutive games with a reception, dating back to his days at ASU, of course. So Billy got a little bit of that complimentary football on offense, balanced attack with 226 rushing yards, 227 passing yards. So that was good to see there. Mertz and Lagway combined to go 26 for 28. Yeah, let that sink in. 26 for 28. It's about 92.9%, which is believed to be a single game team record, whether it's single or combined, either way. Very accurate, very good. The other thing that I had on the Chomp here that I thought is really important, that is a key for momentum, that's a key for this team when you look at ups and downs, ebbs and flows, 5 explosive plays for 20-plus yards. Very, very important. The other thing that was unique about our offense in this game was 6 for 9 on third down conversions, good for 66.7%, 67%. If you want to round up, that's fine there. Red zone scoring, 5 for 5. We'll take 100% all day long, no matter the opponent. And even though the O-line still has some work, like we mentioned before in B's notes, he enjoyed the lineup on Barber, Lovett, Harris, Slaughter, Waits, and Crenshaw Dixon. There was 0 sacks given up by the O-line. So great there. Also, quick reverse, a shout out to Austin Barber for the SEC O-lineman of the week. So there's your Chomp segment. The only other things I really had on Chomp was poignant of the fact that 503 offensive yards. Could we have had some more? Sure. But again, 26 for 28 passing, phenomenal. 64 plays. 64 plays, one of the higher outputs that we've had this season. We're trying to get into that 70 play range. That would be fantastic. So 64, definitely higher than previous 2 games. So we will take that. All right. Outside of that, that wraps up Chomp segment. Let's go over to Gator bait. All right, defensive review. Here we go. All right, I'll start this section off. Despite talent, and here's the thing, Coach Levy, for those of you who don't know, he spent some time as offensive coordinator and passing game coordinator at Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Baylor, and UCF. So he spent some time with Kiffin. He spent some time with Heupel. So he has some of those things in him as far as the tempo. You saw them run a couple of high tempo plays there. Outside of that, I thought the overall defense had some great stops. We did some great things, but overall, you can still see the defense has some work to do. Couple things to note. Big Papa Ron. I think I'm just going to call him Ron Roberts from moving forward, because we've talked about it before. We see the deficiencies in this defense when it comes to the win percentage. All right, the win percentage we talked about last fall. The defense had a stronger win percentage. We definitely had some deficiencies when giving up big plays. But this year, our win percentage is just absolutely abysmal. I will not get into that too much further. But main thing to note about this game is that Ron was up in the box today, not on the sideline. So up in the box, and allegedly the communication between he and Napier were a little bit better in the box. And according to Napier's press conference, when asked, are you guys going to implement that moving forward? And Napier just simply said, yes, I think we can do that. So be it. Either way, Mississippi State averaged 133 yards rushing per game. Okay, 133. We gave up 240 rush yards. And it seemed like for the better part of different series there, they did what they wanted at the line of scrimmage. They were able to control it. They were able to get off the blocks well. They were able to create gaps, create holes. And here's the thing. We did have our own offense, 226 rushing yards. They outrushed us by 14 yards. Is what it is. Not to mention 240 passing yards for 480 total yards. So definitely help up front. The line play was not as good as we needed it to be. Some of the overall schemes. We know that there's a deficiency in the linebacking spot. We'll talk about that here in a second. Tre'Quez Bridges, right? Big transfer, big pickup. I want to point him out. 5 solo tackles, 5 assisted tackles, led the team with 10 total tackles. Great job there. A couple other notables. 7 tackles for loss, most in any game this year, for a total of 30 yards. In those 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks for 15 yards, season high. So phenomenal job there. Another deficiency on defense, third down. Third down. We know of the third and Grantham. Not sure if we have to get into third and Roberts, but either way, we gave up 11 for 20 on third down, good for 55% for Mississippi State. So outside of that, when you look at the overall defensive performance, a win is a win, yes, but when you look at yardages given up, especially on the running game, in addition to that, you look at the total yardage, you can definitely tell we had some defensive inefficiencies in this game. There are definitely some things that we still need to work out. The other thing that I will note is when you have a bigger lead, especially with what we started off, and you're giving that up quite easily, that's another cause for concern, because when you look at momentum on the road, a lot of that is one, like we've talked about before in the SEC, in the trenches, and it seems like we just couldn't get a good hold on that where we can really put the game away when we needed to, more so in the first half. All right, so there's my defensive review for Gator Bait. Let's look at Ben's review of the defense. All right, so Ben mentions Chapin and Van Buren's QB rating, 90.32 and 4.8 yards per carry. Okay, the quarterback, definitely not that great yards per carry. That is what it is. According to B's notes, he shows up and down on the defense, had several good series, but several poor as well. Yep, we know that. Solid start to the game, looking good against both the run and the pass, but as the game progressed, we deteriorated against both. Agreed. First and foremost, not liking the lack of push from the line against the run, especially as the game went on. Linebacker play from James and Howard continues to be good, but few other bright spots against the ground game. Bridges, solid tackler from the secondary. I agree. Led the team, 10 tackles. Phenomenal game for Trquez. Pass defense was solid when we were in man, but for the bulk of the game. Couple tough calls on PI and holding. That's fine. We know that. Marshall was outstanding in coverage. Agreed. Some great batted balls. He had, I want to say, 2 batted balls in this game. Honorable mention to Denson. Sharif Denson as well. B also mentions against, however, as the game progressed, didn't like the zone calls or the execution in some cases and what we gave up, especially on 3rd and long several times. Again, honorable mention here to Bryce Thornton in zone. Much better coverage than Castell or Douglas at safety when we are too deep or cover 1. Agreed. All in all, giving up 480 yards to a team that averages just over 300 so far this season is just bad. Wish I can say that like Ben would, but we continue to have some poor schemes frequently. Thanks, Ron. And often don't execute well on the D line or in the secondary, which causes the remainder of the issues. Long story short, defense continues to disappoint me greatly. 2 exclamation points. And B, I couldn't agree more there, especially when you look at what we thought we had from a personnel standpoint, and not to mention what we felt like we had from that talent gap and the things that we could have improved on, bringing Ron in from Auburn, Ron and AA working together. It just seems like it has not gone as well as we thought it would. So that is what it is. All right. Next segment coming up. Here we are, the visor throw segment. All right. So since I started off last segment, let's go to B here to start off his visor throw segment. So here we are. B says, already mentioned, but way too much soft zone coverage on 3rd and long. It needs to stop now. Again, give me back AA. Austin Armstrong. Awesome. Yes. B mentions at the end of the first half, 39 seconds left. We get the ball back. We have our timeouts. And again, we run the ball. We're getting into the second half. Scared money. So tired of that crap. B, I get it. We got to get as many points as we can. Yes, I get it. We get the ball in the second half, but at the end of the day, you're on the road in the SEC, no matter the opponent. You need to attack, have that killer instinct whenever you can get it. Okay, so B's 3rd point here on visor throw, same as last week, and we'll continue to keep it until we do it. Napier needs to go. He isn't the answer, so we need to be finding one. And keeping him around only hurts us now, so cut bait, find an interim, and work on the next hire. Literally cutting and pasting this into every pod until we do it. Exclamation point. All right, B, duly noted. All right, for visor throw, basically, I've got this here. So Ron said he challenged the defensive players this past week. He challenged them. To what? To play better? Interesting, Ron. I challenge you. And all I'm going to refer to is our win percentage last year when we were top 40 in the nation. And this year we're outside the top 100 through 4 games. I'll rest my case. Chapin gets hurt. Mississippi State's quarterback. Van Buren comes in. Okay. Back up. True freshman. And is able to move the ball down the field with ease. That's all I'll say, right? It's almost like what Florida West did here, coming preparing their backup QB, although a redshirt freshman, but still was able to move the ball down the field with ease. Okay, I'll let that sink in. And then my last point on the visor throw segment is going to be giving up a 28-7 lead, letting Mississippi State come back to 28-21. Now, again, we won. I get it, 45-20. But still, the point of the matter is, where is the killer instinct? I get it. They wanted more cowbell. They were ringing for cowbell. And they were almost getting more cowbell. But I feel like we have no killer instinct when it comes to that defense really locking in, getting dirty, and doing what needs to be done to close out games, close out series, get the defense off the field, get the offense back on the field. So either way, that is what it is. So that ends our visor throw segment. I feel like the visor got fairly dirty. It is Starkville. It is Mississippi State. There's a lot of cowbell. There's a lot of manure there. Okay, it is what it is. All right, moving on to our hatchlings, talking about the hatchlings recruiting report. The main thing to derive out of that is the update on Vernell Brown. His commitment is still strong, but again, talk is talk until they sign, right? We have a commitment. Commitment sounds good. Again, we've got a lot of talent coming in. We have had a lot of talent through this past class. It's going to be interesting to see what happens looking at the state of the team. I thought what was really interesting on the broadcast is they talked about the fact that Mertz was around in Wisconsin when there was talks of coaching change, when there was talks of leadership changes. So believe it or not, Mertz, besides 6 years in college, not his first rodeo. And that's where I feel hopefully his leadership can really shine throughout the team. And that could be a really recurring voice that helps quell some other players and ease some other players as their minds might be wandering amidst all that's going on with Billy being on this hot seat and the overall state of the program. Because obviously we have not started the season the way that we thought we would start the season, right? All the things we heard about. Hey, we're going to be surprised. We're going to be surprised. And boy, are we surprised. And not the best way. All right. So that is what it is. Next up, let's go to the Pride of the Sunshine section. Okay. Let's start off there with B's notes. Pride of the Sunshine for B says, solid bounce back performance in this game considering the state of the program and what we just came off last week. We should have won this game, and we did. Despite my critiques, this is a road win, a good road win, as any are in the SEC, as we know. The SEC, it just means more, right? Missouri won by just 3 against Vandy at home. Yeah, pretty close game, fair. B says he likes the camaraderie he saw on the sidelines and the way the team played for each other in the game. Agreed, B, agreed. Here are my notes on Pride of the Sunshine. I love seeing Mertz and Lagway feed off of each other, support each other. I mean, some people might say that there's this quarterback power struggle, dueling quarterbacks, whatever. There's going to be jealousy. There's going to be some favoritism. I just don't see it, people. I just don't see it. Everything between Mertz and Lagway is good, is positive, is forward momentum. Just the way that they react to each other, you could tell it's not fake, not at all. So I really enjoy seeing that, and that should create a ripple effect through the rest of the team. I love seeing Baugh and Jackson emerge, right? So we know Montrell's in there, besides being a little banged up, right? The older statesman, Webb, but it was great to see Baugh and Jackson get the ball and just add a little bit more depth to that running back core, right? On another note, it was really strange to see Montrell fumble the football. He's just so good and so dependable. But either way, really happy to see Baugh and Jackson get the ball and show what they can do. I love seeing Mizell get some solid snaps, get some solid catches, right? Although we had a big one overturned, that's okay. Mizell came up really, really big in some of those plays as Mertz and Lagway, their progressions down the field, being able to catch Mizell. And you saw the speed. You saw the speed, and you saw the shiftiness. You saw the cut ability in that touchdown run that was called back, right? Because of the block by Montrell. We'll talk about that later. But Mizell got some solid snaps. Great to see him put together a solid game. Tony Livingston, TJ Abrams, I mean, welcome to the 2024 season, right? Great to see them, freshman tight end and wide receiver respectively. Great to see them get some snaps in. The Gators, with everything going on, badly needed a victory, right? Badly. As Ben mentioned, solid performance coming back from what has transpired thus far through 3 games. Mississippi State, not a good team. We know Jeff Levy's got some experience. They could have surprised. They could have snuck one by you. But at the end of the day, UF went on the road amidst all the adversity, all the controversy, all the distraction, all the noise, as I call it. and put on a win in a visiting SEC stadium. We'll take it. Okay. The other factors to go into that besides cowbell, there was a lot of cowbell, right? Not as much as I thought there would be. The stadium was a little bit bare. But the other thing that I took into consideration was the fact that it's a central time kickoff, 11:08 a.m. Let's face it, we're not that good early in the morning. We're still waking up. We're still yawning. Okay. There's still a bit of sleep in the corner of the eyes there. So to see how we started off on offense, that was great to see. Not to mention UF 2-12 last 14 road games. I'll just leave it at that. And the other thing that I think is interesting is, as Billy mentioned in the press conference after the game, and this is a quote, Billy said he wants to see more fight, more scrap from his guys on defense. Do you think there's a theme growing there? Just putting that out there. Okay. So there you go. That is Pride of the Sunshine. Okay. Next section, moving on. I'm telling you, throat's going dry. I got some water here. It's okay. We're hanging in. We're going to make it through, people. Thanks for bearing with me. All right. Next section, move back. You suck. Officiating review, discussion of ref quality, bad calls. Right. Here we go. All right. B, let's start this off. B says very tight on the calls of the secondary, but they're all consistent all game with it on both sides. So not going to pitch a fit there other than the last call on Josiah Davis, where I did not see something that qualifies as PI personally. All right, B, I got you. Sure thing. And then his second is going to be obviously discussion point for the blind side, or he says in parentheses, if you prefer, the face side block that Johnson got called for. Seemed like he was flagged because the player went down hard and got hurt more than because he actually committed a penalty, because as we can clearly see, both live and replay, he didn't. Back-to-back weeks with absolutely horrible calls, but I guess I'm glad that they're happening in games that they don't matter. Fair point, B. Fair point. As far as my recap goes, here's the thing. Josiah Davis, there was a little bit of a restriction there, but not egregious. So was it ticky-tack? Sure. But at the end of the day, can you boil it down to a restriction, an advantage? Sure, whatever. We can blow that. We'll throw the flag, no problem. However, on Montreal, when you look at a defenseless player, look at the Mississippi State, and again, I get it, real time, bang, bang, but I think it was more so the reaction of how the player went down. If you look at that tape and you replay the tape, that Mississippi State player, his helmet is turned around and Montreal leads with a very solid shoulder. Solid shoulder, okay? Which negated, like we mentioned, a great catch and run by Mizell. Not just speed with the Mizell, with the yak, shiftiness, 3 different cuts up and down the field, making a few people miss and scampered into the end zone. It was a shame it was called back because that was a great play, great design, and great blocking. Montreal was there, set the edge. Now, again, I loved seeing it because Montreal trucked him. But at the end of the day, could he have just put his hands up? Could he have been just in contain mode? Sure. But at the end of the day, not a malicious play. And the Mississippi State player was not completely defenseless. Body was turned, shoulders turned. You can see that helmet turn as well. For this game, UF 6 penalties, 54 yards, not egregious. Mississippi State 8 penalties, 70 yards. And the only other thing I'm going to call out is Mertz actually got a legit roughing the passer call on him on their second possession. Yay. That's all I'll say. Yay. So there's that. So outside of that, there is your move back, your suck, your officiating review. Now let's go to a recap of where we stand as a whole. All right. So let's go to B here. So as he said, solid bounce back for the team, but to what end? We need to cut our ties with Napier and figure out where we go from here this season. And I'm becoming more and more concerned that this doesn't happen. Obviously, if he gets fired Monday, see how pleased I am that this has happened instead. And to think that this is great for the team to be able to establish a new identity going forward. We will see what happens on the week off and if any changes are made with coaching or game plan strategy. But as long as Napier is here, I highly doubt it. because that clearly isn't his plan. And we know once he has a plan, by golly, he sticks to it. You know what, B? I couldn't agree more. Napier is just a creature of habit. He's habitual. It's in his systems, right? He has a certain system. We're going to win with that. We have a certain system. We're going to implement that. Very seldom have we seen him do the A word, adjust and modify some of the game plan, especially as the game progresses. So that's what's tough to see sometimes. And in this game, it's great to see a little bit more of the play calling shift. It's great to see a lot more of the variation. Again, still vanilla, but a little bit higher quality vanilla. Not quite that Madagascarian vanilla, but again, we'll take some of the variation. And the other thing is, as much as I don't believe it's efficient to keep them in a 2 QB system, I do agree we need to have DJ Lagway out there, get him reps, get him experience, get him some quote unquote scar tissue, to get some snaps underneath his belt, to get some pressure and experience under his belt, because he definitely is the QB of the future, as long as everything else stays in place and that we can retain. So that's going to be important moving forward nonetheless. All right. So that's our wrap up section. Next, let's go over to keep it or pitch it. All right, let's go to keep it or pitch it. Overall on the season, this is pretty interesting. We had a bit of a variance last fall, more of a variance, but right now, Ben 6-6 on the season. I am 5-7, right behind you, B. Let's take a look at the keep it and pitch it for Mississippi State. Florida is averaging 296 yards against FBS opponents so far this season. We will improve on that number this weekend and gain more than 325 yards of total offense. Ben kept it. I pitched it. So there you go. More than 325 yards of offense, clearly there. So that's why Ben won that one and I did not. No problem. Next up, Florida is allowing 508.5 yards per game against FBS opponents so far this season. We will improve on that number this weekend and allow no more than 425 yards of total offense to the Bulldogs. Ben pitched it and I kept it. All right, so there's your difference in yardage discrepancy when you look at 503 yards that we put up and the 480 that they put up. Okay. And then the last keep it and pitch it that we had, Florida is currently converting third downs at 27.6%. We will improve on this conversion this weekend and convert at least 33.3% of our third down opportunities. Ben pitched it. I kept it. And to that end, Florida converted 66% of their third down conversions. All right. And a couple of other notes there. The only other thing when looking at the state of the program that I wanted to mention was time of possession. This probably should have been back in visor throw, but either way, like we said, a win is a win. Time of possession. Mississippi State beat us in time of possession, 32 minutes compared to 27 minutes and change. So another game in which we get beat on time of possession. If you all remember, last fall, we were a top 10 in the nation when it comes to offensive time of possession. So very, very key. All right. So let's look at the keep it and pitch it for the UCF game. So as mentioned, we have a bye week. On the bye week, hopefully we get some things worked out. And then we have UCF the following week. But to that end, let's get into keep it and pitch it for UCF. All right. UCF is a top 5 rushing team in the country. Napier is a fanboy. As being mentioned, UF will allow less than 425 rushing yards in the game. Oof. 425. I see why you chose that number, B. Ben says he is going to keep it. And barely. I can understand why. I am also going to keep it. So here's the thing. I know we've been involved in a lot of games where we've given up massive chunk of rushing yards, 375, 350, 325, 298, 280, and one 420 something to Georgia Southern once back in the day. But I do not see how UCF is going to get 425 on our defense. I know we've got some deficiencies. I know we've got some run gap deficiencies, but hopefully it's not going to be to the tune of 425. So Ben's going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Okay. Next up on Keep It or Pitch It, UCF is averaging over 600 yards per game of total offense. We will keep them under their average and under 600 yards of total offense this weekend. What do you say, B? Well, guess what? B is going to pitch it. All right. I'm not sure the number he thinks we're going to give up, but either way, what you're saying is we're not keeping them under the average any way, shape, or form. UCF, Gus Malzahn, the crazy man that he is, I am also going to pitch that one. They have got some unique things going this year on offense, not to mention they have KJ Jefferson, if you remember the transfer from Arkansas last year. They're very good on the ground, and so it's really going to be tough to keep them under 600 with this defense and the inefficiencies, the schemes, the gaps. It's going to be really tough to do so. So that's why I'm pitching it as well. So far we're in alignment B, 2 for 2. Let's go for number 3. Third one and Keep It Pitch It. UCF is allowing just over 300 yards per game on defense. Florida will best this and gain over 400 yards this weekend. All right. So here's the thing about that. UCF's allowing just over 300. Florida's going to get to 400. I feel like there's going to be a good game plan. It's an away game, but it's not that away. I'm sorry. It is back in the swamp. So it was great to get the road win, but back in the swamp, they're going to want to turn out really big here for the swamp. We're not going to want to make it seem like a marsh. And so on that basis, I am going to keep it. I don't see how against this team we're going to be held to 300, under 400 yards of offense. I am also going to keep that. I think it's going to be a good offensive production because that's the other thing. We've got a bye week. We've got a couple of other things happening. So as long as this squad can get together, and clearly from the Mississippi State game, you can tell Graham is healthy. So outside of that, we're going to see hopefully some great things on offense, but also some variation in the play design. And obviously we'll see how much DJ plays in that game and how much he's scattered in. So outside of that, there is your Keep It and Pitch It. Interestingly enough, the past couple of weeks, we've been in some misalignment. This week, we are in full alignment, oddly enough. Must be UCF. I don't know. Either way. The other thing that Ben mentions, the one thing that Ben's got with NCAA Football 25, he's been running some sims. So here are his sim notes. All right. 9-1 against UCF at home. Despite big rushing numbers allowed between 200 and 350 every game. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Total offense was key theme, over 350 yards in every win. The one loss was under 275 total yards gained. So that's the sim. Results for UF and UCF. So thanks, B, for getting those numbers for us. So I really appreciate you sending your pod notes from afar. Gator Nation, thanks for bearing with me through this. Overall, this is your Mississippi State episode. And at the end of the day, a win is a win to get back to 500. And at the end of the day, we love doing this pod. And when B and I talked about it, with him being out of the country and not being able to do the pod, he asked me if I wanted to do it. I said, you know what? Yes, we need to do the pod. It's good. It's still good therapy, right? It's still good therapy. The information is key. And not to mention, we love Gator football, and in addition to that, the desire to share that accurate information. We believe we are playing a very long, very big, very perpetuating game of telephone, and we want to be able to provide to our audience really, really good information. So B, safe travels. Missed you on the pod, brother. hopefully it wasn't too bad without you. Gator Nation, thanks for hanging in there with me. And with that, I will sign us off. So wherever you are, wherever you may be listening, thank you for taking the time, and we will see you around, Gator Nation.